Hey there, story lovers. Welcome to Tales That Captivate, the podcast where we dive into 3 fascinating stories that will spark your imagination and keep you hooked from start to finish. I'm your host, Muntaha, and today we have a lineup of tales that will take you on thrilling adventures, mystical journeys, and leave you thinking long after the episode ends. First, we'll venture to a mysterious island where secrets lie hidden beneath the surface. Next, we'll journey through time, unraveling the enigma of a forgotten family heirloom. And finally, we'll uncover the truth behind an ancient clockmaker's most closely guarded secret. So grab your headphones, settle in, and get ready for a ride into the unknown. You won't want to miss a minute of this. Let's get started. 1. The Legend of the Lost City of Zorath. Long ago, in a dense, impenetrable jungle far from civilization, there existed a city that was the stuff of other city. It was said to be a paradise filled with shimmering gold, vast libraries of knowledge, and artifacts of such power that they could bend the very fabric of time. Its grandeur and mystery were unmatched. Yet, despite countless explorers and adventurers embarking on treacherous journeys to uncover its secrets, Zorath vanished into myth, its location known only to those few who dared to dream of it. The city had disappeared without a trace, swallowed by the jungle, or so the stories went. Generations passed, and the map to its entrance, once thought to be lost, was reduced to a few cryptic symbols. But the legend was not forgotten. Among those who still believed in the city's existence was Lara, a young and ambitious adventurer. Lara had heard the stories of Zorath from her grandfather, a seasoned explorer who spoke of it in hushed tones. Before his passing, he entrusted her with a weathered and ancient map that had been passed down in their family for centuries. The map, he said, would lead her to Zorath, but only if she could solve its riddles and face the dangers of the jungle. Determined to honor her grandfather's legacy, Lara set off on a journey that would change her life forever. Armed with nothing but the map, a satchel of supplies, and her indomitable will, she ventured into the heart of the jungle. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of unseen creatures echoed in the distance. The jungle seemed alive, its trees towering above her like ancient guardians, watching her every move. Days turned into weeks as Lara navigated through treacherous terrain, swamps, thorny underbrush, and towering mountains that seemed impossible to scale. But Lara was no ordinary adventurer. She was resourceful and resilient, having honed her skills through years of training. Still, the jungle took its toll, and she found herself constantly on edge. The deeper she traveled, the more the jungle seemed to close in on her, and soon a strange sense of unease gripped her. It was as though she were being watched, though there was no one in sight. One evening, as Lara set up camp under the canopy of stars, the air grew still. The usual chorus of insects and birds ceased, replaced by a silence so profound it was almost suffocating. Suddenly she heard a whisper, a faint, almost imperceptible voice carried by the wind. It called her name. "Lara," the voice breathed. Her heart raced as she scrambled to her feet, searching the darkness. The voice was unmistakable. It was the same voice from her grandfather's stories. With newfound determination, she followed the voice, moving deeper into the jungle. As she walked, the path seemed to open before her, the dense foliage parting like a curtain. She emerged into a clearing where an enormous tree stood, its trunk wide and ancient, with roots that twisted into the ground like serpents. Beneath the tree, partially hidden by vines, was a stone archway, an entrance to what appeared to be a cave. Lara's pulse quickened. She knew this was the moment she had been searching for. The cave's entrance was narrow, the air thick with moisture and the scent of earth. As Lara ventured deeper, the walls began to glow with an ethereal golden light. It was as though the very rocks were alive, pulsating with energy. The deeper she traveled, the more the cave seemed to stretch, as though time itself bent within its confines. And then she found it, the city of Zorath. The city was unlike anything Lara had ever seen. Towering spires of obsidian and gold reached towards the sky, casting long shadows over the city's ancient streets. Temples and statues of gods long forgotten stood silent, their faces carved with intricate detail. The air was cool, but there was an unmistakable vibrancy, as though the city was still breathing. Yet something was wrong. The city was frozen in time. Its inhabitants, people dressed in robes of silk, their faces serene and calm, were suspended in place, as though caught in an eternal moment. They were still unmoving, Their eyes glazed as if they had been waiting for something or someone for centuries. At the center of the city stood a massive temple, its doors wide open. Lara felt an inexplicable pull towards it, as if the city itself was calling her. Inside, the heart of Zorath awaited, the heart of Zorath, an artifact of unimaginable power. The heart was a crystal, larger than any gemstone she had ever seen, its facets reflecting light in every direction. It pulsed with an almost sentient energy, glowing brighter and dimmer in rhythm with Lara's heartbeat. It was the source of the city's power, the reason Zorath had never crumbled to dust. The crystal held time in its grasp. As Lara stepped closer to the heart, a voice echoed in her mind, soft but commanding. It spoke of the heart's power. Control time and all will be yours. The past, the present, the future, all are yours to shape. For a moment, Lara was tempted. The allure of controlling time, of righting wrongs and rewriting history, was too great to ignore. But as she reached out for the heart, she was struck by a vision. She saw herself, no, the city, frozen in time forever, locked in a cycle that could never be broken. She saw the people of Zorath, their faces filled with despair, trapped in a never-ending stasis, their hopes crushed by the weight of the heart's power. Lara understood then. The heart was not a gift. It was a curse. The city of Zorath had been doomed the moment it harnessed the power of time. The people, in their greed and thirst for immortality, had sacrificed their future for a fleeting moment of control. They had stopped time, and in doing so, they had condemned themselves to eternity. With a heavy heart, Lara made her decision. She turned away from the heart and left it undisturbed, knowing that some powers were too dangerous to wield. The city's time had passed, and it was better left untouched. The people of Zorath had lived their lives and made their choices. Lara would not repeat their mistake. As she left the temple, the city seemed to sigh, its pulse slowing, its light dimming. The jungle outside felt different now, less oppressive, more alive. Lara knew she had made the right choice, but she also knew that the city would call on her again. Time was not something to be controlled but understood, and when the time came, she would be ready. The Starlight Messenger. In a quiet village nestled at the base of a mountain range, there lived a young woman named Alara. She was known for her kindness and her endless curiosity, always asking questions about the stars that dotted the night sky. From an early age, she had been enchanted by the constellations, often spending hours on clear nights gazing up at the heavens, wondering what lay beyond. But the people in the village spoke little of the stars. They were superstitious, and many believed that the sky was a realm of unknown danger. They said that the stars were gods, watching over them, and that the constellations were paths for divine beings to travel. Alara's questions were met with silent stares or quiet whispers, but her fascination never waned. One evening, as Alara watched the stars from her favorite spot on the hillside, something strange happened. A bright streak of light shot across the sky, brighter than any meteor she had ever seen. The light grew larger, descending rapidly toward the earth. Alara's heart raced as the light neared her, eventually crashing into the earth just beyond the tree line. Without hesitation, Alara rushed to the site of the impact. When she reached the spot, she found a glowing object embedded in the ground. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. The object shimmered with a soft, ethereal light, its surface smooth and cool to the touch. As she knelt beside it, the ground around the object seemed to hum, vibrating gently beneath her fingers. Then, without warning, the object began to pulse. And a voice spoke, not out loud, but directly in her mind. "I am the Starlight Messenger. I have come to you for a purpose." Alara's breath caught in her throat. She looked around, but no one was in sight. The voice continued. "You have always wondered about the stars. Alara, you have always sought to understand the unknown. Now, the time has come for you to fulfill your destiny." Before Alara could respond, the glowing object began to change, morphing into a small, delicate figure. It was humanoid, with translucent skin that shimmered like the night sky, and eyes that glowed with the light of distant stars. The figure spoke again. "I am the first of many who travel between worlds. The stars are not gods. They are beacons, guiding those like me to those who are ready to see beyond the veil of this world." Alara, still in awe, nodded slowly. Her curiosity had always been insatiable, and now she had been chosen to embark on something far greater than she had ever imagined. "There is a darkness spreading across the realms. Alara," the Starlight Messenger continued, "you must come with me to the stars. The balance between worlds is tipping, and only those who understand the sky can restore it. With no hesitation, Alara agreed. She felt an unexplainable pull to this messenger, as if the stars themselves were calling her home. The figure reached out its hand, and as she took it, she felt herself lifted into the air, rising above the earth. The world below her grew smaller, and the night sky stretched out, vast and endless. As they ascended, Alara saw constellations she had only ever dreamed of. Glowing planets and swirling galaxies that were teeming with life. The messenger guided her to a ship, unlike any vessel she had ever seen, crafted from the very fabric of the universe. It was a ship made of starlight. "You are ready, Alara," the messenger said, "to journey beyond the realms, to places where the stars are born and where they die. But most importantly, you will learn the truth of the darkness that threatens us all." Alara stepped aboard the ship, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. As the ship soared through the cosmos, she realized that her journey had only just begun. There were countless worlds to explore, countless mysteries to unravel. But she also understood that this was no simple adventure. She was now a part of something far greater, an ancient, cosmic struggle that had been unfolding for eons. As the stars passed by her, Alara knew one thing for certain. She was no longer just a girl from a quiet village. She was a messenger, a seeker of knowledge, and a protector of the balance between worlds. The universe was vast, and her place within it was just beginning to unfold. 3. The Clockmaker's Secret. In the heart of an old city, surrounded by cobblestone streets and the scent of fresh bread wafting from nearby bakeries, there stood a small shop tucked between two tall, crumbling buildings. The sign above the door read, "Anderson's Clockworks," and inside, the walls were lined with clocks of every shape and size. Grandfather clocks, pocket watches, cuckoo clocks, and delicate timepieces with intricate moving parts. The shop was run by an elderly man named Mr. Anderson, known by the townsfolk for his brilliant craftsmanship and his quiet, mysterious nature. People came from far and wide to have their clocks repaired or to buy a new one. But most never knew the full extent of Mr. Anderson's skill. For many years, his clocks had been more than mere instruments for telling time. They held a secret. One rainy afternoon, a young woman named Clara, new to the town, wandered into the shop. She had recently inherited an old family heirloom, a clock that had been passed down through generations. It was a delicate brass pocket watch, ornately decorated with swirling patterns of silver and gold. But it had stopped ticking long ago. Desperate to have it repaired, Clara heard whispers of Mr. Anderson's unrivaled expertise and decided to pay him a visit. The bell above the door jingled as she entered the shop, and the scent of polished wood and oils filled the air. Mr. Anderson, hunched over his workbench, looked up from his task. His eyes were sharp, his hands steady, despite his age. Clara placed the watch on the counter, and he examined it carefully. "This is a fine piece," he murmured, inspecting the intricate engravings. "Very old, but not impossible to repair." Clara smiled, relieved. "It belonged to my great-grandfather. It's the only thing I have left from him, and I want to make sure it's fixed properly." Mr. Anderson nodded thoughtfully and motioned for her to sit. As he worked, the soft ticking of the many clocks in the shop created a calming rhythm. But Clara, though entranced by the beauty of the shop, couldn't help but feel a growing sense of curiosity. There was something unusual about the way Mr. Anderson handled the pocket watch. It seemed as though he were listening to it, not just fixing it. After a while, the old clockmaker spoke. "There is more to this watch than you know," he said in a voice low enough that Clara had to lean in to hear. Clara was startled. "What do you mean?" Mr. Anderson glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "This is not a mere timepiece. It holds a secret, one that only a few ever truly understand. This watch doesn't just measure time, it controls it." Clara laughed nervously. "You must be joking." But Mr. Anderson didn't smile. "I'm not joking, my dear. Your great-grandfather was a clockmaker too, one of the finest. He was also part of a secret society that understood the true power of timepieces. This watch was created to hold the key to a hidden dimension, a realm where time doesn't flow as it does here. Your great-grandfather's watch was one of the first to tap into that realm." Clara stared at him, unsure whether to believe him. "What are you saying? That this watch can somehow open a portal to another world?" Mr. Anderson nodded slowly. "In a way, yes. But there's a catch. The watch's power can only be unlocked by someone who is worthy. And it will only reveal its secret to someone with a true understanding of time, not just as an hour on a clock, but as something far more fluid, far more malleable, a gift or a curse depending on how it is used. Clara was intrigued, her skepticism fading as the weight of his words sank in. And you know how to unlock it? The old clockmaker smiled, but it was a sad, almost wistful smile. I do, but there's one thing you must understand. Time, once it is altered, can never be returned to its original state. If you choose to use the watch, there is no going back. You will change the course of your own life, and possibly the lives of others. Are you prepared for that? Clara hesitated. The idea of controlling time was both exhilarating and terrifying. Could she change the past? Could she alter events to make them better? But what would she risk losing in the process? Before she could speak, Mr. Anderson continued. I've repaired the watch, but the choice is yours now. It's up to you whether to use it or to leave it as a reminder of what once was. But remember, time is a fragile thing. Even the smallest change can have ripple effects, consequences that you may not understand until it's too late. Clara's hands trembled as she reached out to take the watch. It felt heavy now, not because of its physical weight, but because of the possibilities it held. She had a decision to make, a decision that would shape her future in ways she could not yet comprehend. As she left the shop, the ticking of the clock seemed louder than ever, each one marking the passing seconds, each one a reminder that time, once lost, can never be truly regained. Clara wasn't sure if she was ready for what lay ahead, but she knew that the mystery of the clockmaker's secret was one she could not resist. Unraveling.